Hello everyone. In the video today we are going to walk through experiment 1 and most of experiment 2 for M.2. So what is the point of this first experiment? We want to know what happens if you break a magnet in half. If you break it in half, do you get two smaller magnets, each with their own north and south poles, or do we separate the poles so we have one north end of the magnet and one south end of the magnet? So please make sure you check off the steps in your packet as we go. So before the experiment, you are going to use your group model from the initial ideas to make a prediction. Your instructor will give you a handout with a blank picture of a nail. So we gave these out yesterday. Many of you made your predictions already, but we're going to do that again now if you haven't done so yet. And then step 2, draw your group model for what is inside the rubbed nail. Step 3, cut the piece of paper down the middle where indicated by the scissors icon. You will cut an actual nail later in the experiment. So step 4 says in the spaces provided on the paper that are labeled prediction, these 4 spaces I highlighted in yellow, predict what would happen if the north pole of another rub nail were brought near positions A, B, C, and D on the handout. Consider whether the ends will attract, repel, or neither. So those are the keywords we're looking for each of these positions. So here is a model I took from a group in 4th period. Here's an example of steps 1 through 4. First, I drew the model. In their model, the S's and the N's separated after you rub them. Then I made my predictions for these 4 positions. So I know, or we actually all know at this point from last week's experiments, that a north pole and a south pole will attract. So I put for A and B attract, because if this is just all S's, then the north is going to attract to the S's, to the souths. Likewise, I know north and north is going to repel. So if this end, when we cut it in half, is just all ends, then it should repel in each of them. So my predictions are attract, attract, repel, repel. I drew my model and I cut it in half. So once you have that, you're done with steps 1 through 4. Briefly explain why your prediction is consistent with your model. And we don't have to change our model while using it to make a prediction. So this is what I wrote, and you can have something similar. Your model might even be different. Yours might be different than what I have. But this is what I wrote based on this group's answers. So my prediction is consistent with my model because when you cut the magnetized nail in half, the S's and N's, the souths and norths, get separated. When you bring the north side of another magnet up to B, it will attract the south in that half of the magnet. When you bring the north side of another magnet up to C, here, it will repel the north on that side of the magnet. So make sure we're writing complete sentences like here, and we're justifying our answer with our model. Even if our model is incorrect, our explanations are based on them, and that's what I'm grading here. Step 5 and 6. Let's watch this. Oh, can I watch this video? Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to have to link this separately. We're going to watch steps 5 and 6. Same with 7 and 8. So at this point, you've watched those 2 videos about steps 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you're going to record your observations for what happened here. I highlighted it in yellow. What actually happened when we brought the north pole of a magnet up? And what I saw is that we did get attraction on the head. We did get repulsion on the tip, but these 2 I got mixed up. Instead of attracting at B, I saw it push away. I saw repulsion there. And instead of repulsion at C, I saw attraction. So this definitely changes my model for what I thought was happening inside the nail. So let me read Q2. If the outcome was different, even in small ways, you need to revise your model. If that is the case, discuss with your group how to make revisions so your model is consistent with your observations. Record your revised model below. Label the tip as north pole and the head end as a south pole. So yeah, let me just go back. Again, what we found, or what I observed in the video, was different than what I predicted. And whenever that happens, we need to revise our model. So I'm thinking now maybe there is some like north poles over here and some south poles over here, because that would explain the attraction here and the repulsion there. So that's what I'm going to draw. This is my new model. So it still has a south end and a north end, but in the middle there's also some norths and souths mixed in. So if I cut it in half, I'll still get a north pole here and a south pole there, and it'll make a little bit more sense. Describe how your revised model accounts for your observations you made in this experiment. So this is, again, based on my model. Yours may be different. My revised model accounts for the observations I made in the experiment because when we cut the nail in half, each half has a north pole and a south pole. We saw repulsion at B, which means there must be a north pole there, and we saw attraction at C, which means there must be a south pole there. And then finally, we have the consensus building about how our model changed. So my initial picture had the S's and N's totally separated, like split in half, S's on one side, north's on the other. After we did the experiment, my new model has some S's and N's on each side of the nail. And again, the evidence, kind of like the same idea repeated, the evidence that made me change my model when we broke the magnetized nail in half and saw that the experimental observations were different from our predictions. For example, we thought that the magnet would attract at B, but instead it repelled. We also thought that the nail would repel from the north pole of another magnet at C, but instead it attracted. This led us to change our model to the new version with S's and N's mixed together in sections. So this is really good. If you have, whenever you're revising your model, it's good to reference what made you change your mind, what made you change your model. And in this case, it's the fact that our predictions did not match the experimental results. Okay, that is it for experiment 1. Let's move on to experiment 2. Does our new model work under new conditions? So we did it cutting the nail exactly in half. What if we cut it into different sized pieces, like a big piece and a small piece? So again, you're going to check off as we go. To help you think further about your model, consider the following. Suppose a full-length rubbed nail with the tip as the north pole were cut into two pieces of unequal length, a 1/3 length piece and a 2/3 length piece. So like this picture. You're going to get another handout like this, a big page, and the crack in the nail, where we're breaking it, is closer to the tip this time. It's not directly in the middle. And we're going to fill this in with our model from last time. So for me, it looks like this, because about halfway is when I split up my souths and norths. So this is what my model looked like. Again, yours might look different. That's totally fine. Now, the next step, number 3, discuss with your group members what your most recent model predicts would happen when the north pole of a rubbed nail was brought near each end of each of the cut nail. Record your predictions, attract, repel, nothing on the handout. So again, you're going to say whether it attracts or repels. And for me, I'm looking at, here's the north pole. This is the south, so that's probably going to attract. This is probably going to attract. This is probably going to attract. And this is probably going to repel based on the interactions between north and south pole. Steps 4 and 5, I have a video for you here for you to watch, but I'll link that. Same with step 6, I'll link that. You're going to record your observations after watching the video right here in your paper. And then I'm going to actually leave you to do Q1 and Q2 on your own. I think you have some good models to look back to in this video from the first experiment. So if you need sentence stems, you can go there. And I want you to try and finish this lab on your own about how you can change your model to account for any differences in your predictions and the experimental results you saw in the videos. Okay, that's it for me. I'll see you in the next video.